Hey everyone. I'm so excited to have Lee and Alex here today. I've known Lee and Alex from Hulken for a decade, maybe a little bit longer. We
Longer.
were all in a startup group together called NFX, which is now just an incredible fund, but it was an accelerator program. And they've started multiple companies and had exits. And we're going to go into all that. We're going to go into building Hulken and what that looks like, and the tech side and the operation side and everything. I'm Aaron Schwartz, one of the co-founders of Orita. I've been in ecom for a very long time. When I knew Alex and Lee, I was running a watch company, which is kind of funny.
Really
which
real
became Watch
deal.
Marketplace. But now I'm slaying AI customer segmentation for a bunch of Klaviyo's biggest brands. I was going to introduce the two of them, but I can't possibly do it. So I'm going to shut up now and let them go. And Lee, I'm going to put you on the spot first because you're the most reticent to
Oh my
participate.
God.
Yes.
Aaron,
I like it.
was saying I wanted Alex to intro me. So I am Lee. I'm currently in Brooklyn, New York. If any of you who are listening right now are in Greenpoint, you should stop by our office. You can join the live. We can have this whole community live going on. But before joining Hulken as CRO, I built two software companies with Alex, Ivy and Clay, both in very different spaces. Ivy was essentially the back office for interior designers, architects, GCs. We were acquired by House. And then a few years later, we built Clay, which was essentially a education tool for preschools and daycares, and we were acquired by Kangaroo Time. And then Alex and I don't know how to not do anything, so we're like, let's join Hulken full time. Alex's husband was running Hulken, and Alex was hustling Hulken on her weekends. And I will now pass the mic over to Alex to tell a little bit about herself.
Yeah, so I'm Alex, a co-founder of Hulken. And like Lee said, our background's always been in B2B SaaS. And I think we're the only founder that made the move to make the move from SaaS to consumer brands, which is interesting. I talked to a lot of scarred consumer founders that made the switch to SaaS and are really happy. And yeah, we went the other way. And I think Hulken is unusual in that it was kind of an accidental business. We're happily building software and doing it successfully, raising capital and doing that whole VC journey all the way to exits. And when we saw the success of Hulken and how much fun it was to see how much it resonated with our audience, it was just this undeniable pull that we had to go all in. So we both joined last year when Hulken was already, in the high, above 8 figures in terms of revenue, which was very much a side hustle for me for a while. And my husband was hustling on his own until we joined him. So we're having a lot of fun. It's just very different and new, and we kind of doing it very differently. And in that we didn't raise capital, we are self-funded and enjoying that process of running a growing, profitable company, which is not always the case in this space.
And your husband is a musician, so he also kind of took a different path into running Hulken. Is that correct?
Exactly. So he was a professional drummer for 25 plus years. And when COVID happened and he found himself without stages to play on, he kind of took this family product that my dad invented and put it online, created the website, started going to the post office and shipping orders from our New York City apartment. And one thing led to another, and it grew to what it is today, which is, a 50 million plus revenue brand, very lean and mean. We're a team of 7 full-time employees at this point, and just doing things differently this time and really enjoying the process.
The bulk of this conversation, we will come back to Hulken. I actually want to go back to Ivy and a little bit about how the two of you met. I think, wasn't the first name Artsetter? Am I right? Or am I getting this backwards?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Artsetter. So give me the founding story of that and then how it became Ivy.
Yeah, so Alex and I were both living in Tel Aviv, and we were just enamored with the creative energy there. And if you're living in Tel Aviv, you either are working at a startup or you realize you have to start a startup. And that's essentially what happened to us. We initially started as a B2C platform, and we built the business on like a Shopify site, no experience, and we hustled, right? And we were able to raise $1 million off that from VCs. And then we realized, hey, this isn't actually working. There's not so much of a pull. So that was where we did our first pivot. And we took Artsetters into, instead of selling to consumers, selling to other retailers, and we turned it into a B2B platform. And we actually brought on like additional investors. And after we did that, we heard about NFX. And we told our investors like, hey, we want to go to NFX. And they're like, okay, but if you do that, don't change your idea, because every time someone does an accelerator, they end up changing their idea. We're like, we never will. We have the greatest company in the world. Like day 2 of NFX, we were like, Art Setters sucks. It's not a real business. We sold ourselves lies of dreams that we thought it was going to work. We were really honest with ourselves, largely because I think James Courier is really powerful in showing you the truth. And we're like, we need a pivot. And so we pivoted. That was the third pivot we did. And we turned into basically back office, as I mentioned, for home remodeling pros. And we named it Ivy. And I think that early journey with Alex is really it just is so symbolic of everything that comes next. Because Alex and I are never tied to one idea. We're always pivoting. We're always moving, and we often never know what we're doing. We're never in an industry that we have any experience in. Like everything we've ever started, we have no idea about that industry, and we literally have no idea about any of it until we start going after it. And I think it's kind of been our secret sauce.
What are, and Alex, maybe for you, what are some of the things that have kind of like pulled you forward, right? A lot of times you're talking to a founder and she's got this deep experience in the space and it's like, this is the problem I have to solve. But obviously Art Setter to Ivy, right? And then we can talk about Clay and obviously Hulken, right? One of the things that you kind of said was like, Art Setters wasn't a real business. Like, again, as defined by you guys, right? What are the things that get you excited when you're figuring out what problems to solve?
Yeah, and I think what you say is really true. People usually assume we come from that background. So people always assumed we came from the design world, right? Because we tackled it. And I think what motivates us, can you guys hear me? Are we good?
Yeah, I think we lost you for a bit.
We can hear you now.
Okay. So I think what motivates us is the problem solving piece and kind of figuring out the product market fit in the process. More so than a deep expertise, I think if this journey taught us anything is that we can tackle any industry and do it, do a decent job at it.
And then so with Ivy, right, eventually you guys sold it to House. You stuck around for a little bit, I think, correct?
2 years.
What was the decision for you guys to sell the company? How'd you make that call?
I mean, it's one of those things. It was a no-brainer. It made sense to our investors. It made sense to us. It made sense to our employees. And I think it made a lot of sense to our customers. It was the right time. We hadn't gone out to raise our Series A, right? So it only raised a seed round. And it just made a lot of sense on that. And I also think, Alex and I, like, correct me if I'm wrong, would love to be billionaires, but we're not like someone that's going to work like 100 years, like, to make an idea happen. And this is one reason why I think we love the consumer space right now. I often say, like, if there's a bug on our website, it's not like we're doing open heart surgery or like trying to change the way X, Y, and Z happens. No, we're having fun. We're doing things. So like Ivy was amazing, but I think by year like 4, me and Alex are like, okay, like let's change it up. Like that's just who we are in a lot of ways of what we do. So I think beyond it just being amazing, I think Alex and I were like, okay, yeah, it's not like we were born to build an SMB software for home remodeling pros. It's like, no, we built something great. This is amazing. It's working. Let's pass it on to someone that can bring it to hundreds of thousands of more customers.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we just have this is the type of founder we are. We love to get our hands dirty. We love to figure things out. We love to get to that point of just getting that freaking pull from the market. And I think it took a lot of pivoting to get there with Ivy and Clay, by the way. And sometimes that's what's a little bit different with just running a consumer brand is that, it's less about tech and iteration and kind of moving with that speed and more like, okay, now we have inventory and we have more of these hurdles in a way, but we just love building. And this is the stage that we like the most is for that point from 0 to 1. And when we enjoyed it so much, I think you just figure it out.
Yeah.
What was the original market pull of Hulken, right? Like to your point, right? It was your father's idea. Right. And then it's like it grew and grew and grew and sounds like pretty steadily. And your husband was working, you were moonlighting. But what was it that actually like kind of struck a nerve that started pulling it forward, even before you get into all the operational headaches?
Yeah. I mean, I think the product itself, the fact that it's an entirely new category of products that had never been to market, we were really lucky that we had a product that was built for social media. It's shiny, it's big, it has wheels. You want to put things in it, you want to climb into it. So it is made to be filmed. And so from day one, we had this very organic viral flywheel that started happening because people just loved filming it, but also people found instant gratification from using it. So it created this aha moment the minute people started using it, that then in turn created a social media moment that we could capitalize on.
And what was the turning point for you to decide to go kind of all out? Was it you guys sold clay and you were able to escape, or was it something else kind of pulled you in?
I think we had just exited and invested. And when we saw the excitement around Hulken and where it was kind of on its own without us, it just felt like the natural next step to get into it. And we welcome the change and we'll welcome the challenge. Okay, now we're running a consumer brand, and that's new for us. And I think we're always kind of looking and stretching that comfort zone a little bit. So we're in our era of fun and doing things differently, and it just fits that box.
I like it. Lee, how did you get suckered in? Give us the story about you joining Hulken.
I mean, we just do fun things when we were just doing it for fun, we'd dress up in turkey outfits and give away Hulkens on the corner of a street in Williamsburg. And that's fun. And it was ridiculous. And then I was like, this is I could do this full time, dress up in an inflatable costume and just give out Hulkens on the street and just create strange moments. Sign me up. I think the one thing I can say is that after 2 venture-backed businesses, I'm really not in that era right now. It's exhausting to have that. I was looking for something else. I'm a mom of kids. I realized if I'm going to be spending time away from my kids, I need to really enjoy my day. I think at the end of clay, there would be moments where I'd physically just lay on the bathroom of the handicapped bathroom of WeWork and just lay down being oh my gosh, this is just miserable. Because it was just draining. It was just so opposite of what what fulfillment and vibrancy and just life looked like to me. And so when I was manifesting, what do I want to do next after this? Yeah, it's dressing up in an inflatable costume, giving out Hulkens on the corner of Williamsburg, right? And that's kind of what made me when Alex and I were talking about what's next. When I was flirting with this idea of well, maybe it is doing Hulken full time. It kind of just was yeah, why would I not? It's let's try it, and it's been so fun.
I do appreciate how viral it is that I'll have I was at a conference last week in New York, and I post a lot of terrible content on LinkedIn, but my first photo was literally walking down the street when I landed and seeing a Hulken, and I was like, well, this is exciting.
That's amazing.
I was very shiny, and they looked so happy pulling it, and it was just
it becomes
lightweight.
An iconic New York moment now. Every time I go back to New York, I'm counting the minutes until I see my first Hulken after landing. It kind of became this iconic New York product. I mean, we now sell the Container Store on 6th Avenue. It's in one of their top 5 best-selling products for a reason. It's really made for New Yorkers. That's where the brand started. Is that really where we feel at home? And now we have an amazing showroom in Greenpoint. But yeah, the virality that you get offline with Hulken, I think, is what supercharged the growth on many levels.
Yeah, I mean, I actually want to dive in a little bit on the marketing front. So obviously, viral brand, you guys have scaled, you've got celebrities, you got all that. What are there any specific points that you've seen? Maybe one that was holy shit, I didn't realize this was going to work, or this just happened. And then one where you guys actually put in the work and you were creative, that you got the impact that you were looking for.
Yeah, definitely. I think on the kind of, oh my God, this happened and turned out to be a great thing for us, we realized that Hulken became an essential work gear tool for a lot of different professional niches. And it started with thrifters. And thrifters, that would buy and sell on Poshmark, for example. They would use the bag to go sourcing, and then they would use the bag to take their packages to the post office. And the thrifting community is extremely active and engaged on social media. So then from thrifters, it moved on to professional makeup artists. And professional makeup artists is an incredible niche to tap into because they interact with celebrities, they interact with other professionals that Schlep stuff like fashion stylists and prop stylists. And so you go on any kind of TV set in the States. When I do TV, I go backstage and I see it filled with Hulkens because it became that work essential, again, for a community that is so active and engaged on social media. So then it moved on to interior designers and professional organizers and musicians. And so these professional niches that use Instagram as their primary marketing engine for lead gen, we're using Hulken and displaying it as a core work essential. So this was crucial in the early days to kind of embedding ourselves as a must-have within these communities was instrumental because it started that flywheel that then, of course, as you know, Hulken can be used for many other things. But getting that credibility from pros was huge. And then on the more intentional front, you see the bag and you think, okay, it's a grocery bag on wheels. Is it an IKEA bag on wheels? And we always took a very conscious decision to not be a supermarket bag. We could sell at every supermarket stateside, but we actually decided we're going to actually be a premium brand that partnered with the New York City Ballet. So we did this extensive campaign with New York City Ballet because their dancers actually use Hulken to go in and out of the Lincoln Center. And it's not a move that a typical kind of utility brand would be doing, but it's a move that we wanted to make. And we're very intentional to partner with brands that bring this more premium value.
Lee, is there anything kind of cooking that you want to add to this?
No, I think what's special about Hulken is most of our biggest brand moments and growth moments were not paid for, right? And I think that's really important because I think that comes to, like, when I talk to a lot of brands that are trying to make it, right? They pay crazy amounts for PR and they do X, Y, and Z. And I think that's going back to even when we knew to pivot, right, from art centers to Ivy's because we were pushing. And every time we pushed really hard, we'd see a little bit of growth. But what's amazing about what we saw at Hulken, and we're seeing at Hulken, what we saw at Ivy when we knew we really had something is that when you push just a little, it would grow so much more than you even pushed. And that has come a lot through organic moments, right? Like the Kardashians reaching out, right? All these different elements that a lot of people are Supreme collabs, things that a lot of brands would just do everything to make happen. They come organically to Hulken. I think that's when you kind of know you're on to something, right? When these really powerful moments are being attracted to your brand.
When you guys are building out your kind of your wholesale presence, right? Like Alex, you mentioned the Container Store, which I used to live a couple blocks away from, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Or obviously Target. What are the impacts kind of building out these this distribution that you're seeing? Kind of is it also impacting your D2C side? What are some of the surprises that have happened as you've kind of built out your chain of partners?
Yeah, I mean, Lee, you're the wholesale queen. You can take that one. Lee can tell you the story of how she got us on Target shelves in 4 months without any sort of retail experience at that scale. I mean, it's highly unusual for any brand to get on Target shelves that quickly. So Lee, take.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think how we approach, first of all, 95% of our business is still D2C. And I think how we think about retail is it either goes towards our brand or it goes towards volume. That's how we even make a decision on where we go. I think, even looking at the Container Store and Target, I think those are incredible for Hulken's brand, right? It allows us to gain brand awareness by just having customers in their store. So even outside of a sales channel, which is wonderful, right? And really important to diversify your sales beyond just your website. I think what's really powerful about retail channels like a Container Store or a Target is we aren't having to pay as much online to acquire customers or have them get familiar with our brand. Because when they're walking down the aisle, they see the Hulken box, they're becoming familiar with it. And that that I think is what's really exciting about looking into 2026 this year is that, right, we entered Target in Q4 and we're now able to have brand recognition with so many customers that we otherwise would have never reached unless we had paid a lot of money to try to reach them.
So you built the partnership with them, maybe diving into the operations of it for a minute. And I'll come back to the D2C operations, but what has been the biggest wake up call for you guys on a wholesale operation side where you're like, oh man, I did not.
I mean, I think the Target thing is just like the miracle of coming from like early stage SaaS like tech companies is because Alex and I are used to like moving very fast and not being like, okay, this takes like half a year. Let's plan for the full year. So when we had that meeting in June and they were like, hey, like usually this takes like a year. They're basically like, hey, like how fast can you get into here? And we're like, tomorrow. No, but really like meeting in June and all of our boxes were picked up in October. It's unheard of. Why? We didn't even have retail boxes, right? Like we literally had to design retail boxes, manufacture retail boxes. We had to switch to a 3PL that could handle a Target volume. We had to design an end cap. We didn't even know what an end cap designer was. I actually did not know what an end cap was until June. Like literally I had no idea when they were like end caps. I was like, yeah. And then I was like thinking like, I need to Google what an end cap
You
is.
got a crash course in a wholesale.
I didn't even know what
entire
was. Like I had no idea. I like had to answer those questions. But I think that's really one of the secret sauces of Alex and I in the consumer space right now. It's because when you're used to tech, you can build things and change things on a dime. Like we're used to being like, hey, let's add this feature. Let's do this. And maybe we can't do that with our product, but we can do that with our partnerships and with our platform and with every way we think about like growing Hulken besides like changing our product. But we do change our product really quickly in more ways than one as well.
If I'm channeling, James Courier in tech, you guys move extremely quickly and speed seems to really still matter for you.
We got that somewhere.
Where, Alex, if you think kind of maybe, and this might be on the operation side, it might just be even when you were part-time, where do you think speed has actually screwed you guys up being in the consumer brand space? Like where you've moved too quickly and you actually should have waited or not moved as quickly. Any examples?
That's a great question. I'm curious what you're going to say, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know. Lee, do you think of anything? I
think speed is always a benefit because if you can, like if you make a mistake, then you can remedy it quickly. It's worse to wait around.
Yeah, I agree. I can't think of anything specific. Maybe on the ops side, it might have screwed us over on something. Maybe we could have, did we optimize every single dollar on these boxes?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
But it was at the cost of speed, right? Like we knew we had 3 months to get them boxed up and shipped to Target. And we know for the next time that we can probably optimize that for cost efficiency. It just wasn't the case. So yeah, we moved fast. We probably wasn't as cost efficient as we wanted it to be, but we did it. And that for us is more important.
Well, I think that's the point. Is like it actually was more important for you not to be cost efficient, but for you to be quick, get in stores, and then earn the right to optimize after you have a big enough business to like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alex, when you and I first talked about Hulken, this was a while back, I think you guys were going through like an inventory issue. And I don't remember if it was a manufacturing issue or if it was tied to tariffs. Can you walk through that experience and kind of what you've taken away and how you've tried, like as the business has grown, maybe made the business more robust?
Yeah. So I think for the first 3 years, we never had a Q4 where we were in stock. So we were constantly selling stock that we didn't have. So essentially doing pre-sales and then having people receive their bag, a month or two later, mostly because we didn't expect this big of a demand, right? So the supply wasn't ready. Then finally 2024 comes around, fully ready, fully stocked for Q4, had a, record-breaking holiday season. And then 2025, again, we didn't expect this Target PO, coming in the middle. And of course, we find ourselves without, our full stock in Q4 of 2025. So all the growth we're seeing is being held back a little bit by these inventory planning issues. Part of it is, just our inexperience, frankly, and us not being able to plan properly on the SKUs that are best performing. But also because we keep on, it's like a hose down our throat. We're like, we have this insane growth coming our way. We have retailers that now, we play with bigger players that require larger volumes, because what we also found out about retail is that there are very few of them that, one, are healthy and viable, and two, bring volume that is interesting enough at our stage in the business. When you're looking at a $50 million brand, for any sort of retailer to make sense, the volumes that they need to bring need to be significant for us to give the attention that it deserves. So the growth keeps on happening in the most unexpected ways, sometimes planned, sometimes not. But now we've obviously invested more in our ops side of things, and we have a head of ops that just joined us in Q4 last year. And, part of her job, or probably most important job, is to make sure that the planning on the inventory side can meet the demand more properly for the rest of the year.
And I just want to shout out to Jan at Operating Crew, because they actually really helped us find Ali, who's our new head of ops. And that's where it's like, we didn't even know what type of operations person we needed, right? We didn't even know what holes we were missing because we're so new to this. And so that's where we were like, okay, we need to move really quickly on this. This is another one where it's like, we want to have the speed to do it and bring on someone really quickly, but we know you don't want to hire like too quickly. And that's why we're such a small team. We haven't done that, but we need someone who has operation experience to kind of tell us like, what are we missing? Who is that person to hire? And so we found this amazing guy and his business is called Operating Crew. And they have been incredible in helping us navigate hurdles that come up along the process. So if there are any brands out there that are kind of in this growth moment and they're about to tackle a new like era of growth and they don't really know like how to best do that, I highly recommend you reach out to them because they've been fantastic.
One of the things that's very clear though is you guys are also very conscious of cash. And to your point, like, look, you've been on the VC treadmill, right? You're not trying to raise for the sake of raising.
Yeah.
And so, Alex, like, I'm also empathetic to sometimes we're going to run out of inventory and like you want to be ahead of things. And maybe you need to be ahead of things for target because you don't want to lose that account. But on the D2C side, sometimes you're just going to miss. And that actually may be okay. Like that is a constraint that you put on yourself.
Maybe okay. And also maybe an advantage. I think that scarcity has actually worked in our favor in many ways. People were like, oh my God, you got to grab it while it lasts. And, it wasn't intentional, but it did happen. And I definitely see that as being interesting on the marketing side because people want to make sure they get their hands on it.
If you think about like a year from now or 2 years from now, right? You made the comment that you're 95% D2C. What do you think is the right balance for Hulken a year or two from now? And of course, you reserve the right to change your opinion, but from today, what do you want to happen in the next year?
I think it's inevitably going to shift, not 50-50, but somewhere, 70-30, 40-60 along those lines. I think at our scale, the expansion opportunities are either omni-channel, like diversifying our sales channel to include retail. And again, there aren't that many that can bring the volume that will be significant, but that's one. The second one would be product expansion, and the third one would be global expansion. And so we're looking at all these different kind of growth channels as being critical to the next stage of growth. What's going to take us from 50 to 100? I think it's diversifying the sales channel. Sorry, my son keeps on calling me.
You're good.
Diversifying the sales channels, as well as expanding the catalog, as well as growing globally. We're now launching in Japan, which is really exciting. Asia has been a really exciting market for us. We're big in Taiwan and South Korea already. So that's kind of where our heads are at.
Lee, what's the next thing that's going to keep you interested? So you don't hit that cliff in a year or two and you're like, cool, what's the next problem to solve? Like, what are you most excited about for the next stage?
I mean, I get like right now, it's like just the beginning. Like Hulken is really just in its infancy. Like if you look at our SKUs, we have basically one core SKU, right? We're introducing new SKUs. So I think that is this really exciting moment. And as Alex mentioned, right, there's all these hurdles and fun hurdles that we need to do, like develop products we love just as much as our signature bag, expand globally, build out these wholesale relationships. But I think continue to have fun, never have VCs like going down our throat, like trying to tell you what to do when they have no idea what they're doing. I think I need to go to a PTSD person because I'm just when a VC even talks to me, I'm like, oh, like, stop it. Like, no, I don't care. You might have gone to Stanford.
I now need to go to bat. We at Orita have actually like an awesome group of VCs. I was talking to a founder yesterday
I'm sure there's many great VCs out there, but I'm just like, I'm kind of just, just like I'm over the bro culture. I'm just over this culture. Like, if you went to Stanford, congratulations. Tell your grandparents. Don't tell me. I literally don't care. I actually don't. To me, it's actually like a mark down on them. I'm like, oh, like, Aaron, did you go to Stanford?
No, they wouldn't.
Oh,
they
Okay.
wouldn't
Well,
take me.
congratulations. I
Yeah.
don't like,
You did go to Berkeley though, right? I remember that.
I did all right with
also, but you, but like, I think that I have as much issues against that. But I'm just kidding. I love VCs, but I like at the
You
end
love
of the day, I
Stanford.
can't stand the networking of it. It's just like a pony show. Like, I'm sick of
I
being
hear
like
you.
snarky. But
Look,
I think it's more just the trauma, the PT.
Yeah.
Like, Alex and I have never been good fundraisers. And so I'm sure if I was a great fundraiser, I'd be like, I love VCs, like, oh, like Andreessen, ooh. But like, no, it's just, I'm kind of like, I want to sell bags. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to change the way you schlep. And for now, that's a lot of fun.
I think that is the quote of the episode. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Look,
No, but
I think the thing that I've deeply appreciated about the two of you over your journey is that you are very strong operators, but like also quiet operators. And you're just like, look, each month we're going to be better, and like the business will be better, and we'll learn and we'll move quickly and we'll iterate. And I think
Mhm.
that is a really special skill. And I love that you've brought it into consumer brands. I deeply miss running a consumer brand. I think there's the joy to it that you kind of mentioned. There's also like the weird personal connection. Like, I still have a bunch of letters that people wrote us. It was very strange.
Yeah.
People would be like, oh my God, I love this. I got this as a gift for my
Yeah.
kid, whatever it was. And it's just like, it was great. And the flip side though, is you can ruin somebody's Christmas, which sucks. And so like, there's also the stress of that one-to-one
Yeah.
relationship on the consumer brand side. But yeah, we at some point will be raising more money. So any VC listening to this, I don't
Well, but
co-sign.
Invest in Orita.
the difference is, like, I'm telling you, if we were great at fundraising, we're just bad
Yeah.
at it. Like, so
Yeah.
I like, this is just our, like, I
I
remember
hear you.
someone told me when I was living in San Francisco, and I was like, I don't really like San Francisco. And they're like, the only people who don't like San Francisco are the people that can't be successful in San Francisco. I was like, oh, that's probably true. So like, point being is, like, that was when I was like in the hard days of building a startup. I think why I have such a repulsive attitude towards VCs is like, we got so many no's, like thousands and thousands of no's. But my point is, so I'm sure if I got like a yes, I would have been like, yes, love it. But once you're like kicked at like a dog for so many times, you just have the
No,
wounds.
you
Now I'm
just get
like,
to build.
now I'm like, I hate VCs, but it's
I
like
love it.
nothing to do with you. I hope you get all the VC money in the world.
I mean, I'm not a VC, so I'm not offended. You now just get to build a business that actually makes money, which is pretty delightful. All right, I want to use the last little bit of time to actually talk about the e-commerce side, because you guys are obviously exceptional at it. So we talked a little bit about the marketing and the operations. I'm curious, like on the e-com side, this is also new to the two of you. Maybe what have been some of your biggest surprises, and what have been some of the things that have worked really, really well, or whether it's a tool or just like an approach you took, or hey, we did this one photo shoot and it worked. But I kind of want to leave this broad. Like, what have you learned kind of moving into
Yeah,
e-com?
I'll start with how we started, and then I think that you can take it on the tools that we've been using that have been really successful. But actually, what surprised me is that for the longest time, we didn't invest anything into the website. So we got to $15 million, literally with the Shopify site, off the shelf theme, no investment in branding, no investment in, redesign of the website, barely any optimization outside of, the basic Shopify stuff. So, I mean, maybe we were lucky. Probably there's a piece of luck here, but also I think there's people sometimes overthink that piece of the puzzle. And now we're obviously in a different place where we're able to invest a little bit more into the website, and we're using a set of amazing tools that help us optimize. And obviously we see that every percentage point optimization makes a drastic impact on the revenue. And I think that's kind of the stage that we're entering, is how to optimize that revenue for every traffic visit that we get.
Lee, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I think what's been really fun is that there are so many, especially if you're on Shopify, there's so many different tools you can use to, kind of just tweak the success of it. I think that what I find overwhelming, and I think is a blind spot, is to really understand how those are actually making an impact, because each of those different tools will give you different KPIs of how they actually converted X, Y, and Z revenue. And after a while, you're kind of like, you almost just call BS on a lot of the reporting that they give you. And it actually makes you lose trust in even the accurate reports. I think Shopify could actually do a better job in giving a better picture of like revenue allocation in a sense, and even understanding a user's journey, especially for those that, don't have like an in-house analytics person like we don't. And for me to use like, Microsoft Clarity, it's complicated for me to really understand that picture. And oftentimes, like every day there is a tool that's trying to sell to me, and we use some amazing tools like Pretty Damn Quick, like Orita, Echo, Rebuy. But I do think in this next year or two, there's going to have to be a consolidation of what tools we are using, right? Because a lot of these tools are actually just kind of stepping on each other's toes and building out features that the other ones have. So I think that will be really interesting to see. And sometimes I'm just like, love the person and we keep on using their tool because we love them. But I think there is going to have to be a consolidation, and there is going to be a point where Hulken can't be running 10 different apps. We're going to have to choose a lane. And so that's where I think it's really helpful to have very clear, basically A/B testing capabilities for a tool. So you can really like tell that story of how that tool is driving revenue. And also we often are much easier to say yes when a tool says like 3x ROI guarantee, right? Or your money back in 3 months if you don't see a difference. If a tool can't give me that promise, I'm just not doing it, because it's going to be incremental revenue growth no matter what. So it has to be a pretty compelling offer for me to say yes.
One of the things that's been interesting for me, right? So after Modify, I started a shipping company. Great. After that, I was at Loop. And so Lee, I mean, obviously you and I can chat whenever you want about the Shopify tech stack. Like this is the only thing I know decently well. Yeah. The interesting thing for me about Orita, right? We co-founded 2 years ago, is I'm a history major and MBA. What schools I went to doesn't matter. Let's not worry about that. But like,
let's talk about it.
I don't want to get yelled at by Lee, but both of my co-founders are machine learning engineers. And the thing that has been really fascinating about going back to this side of the house, right? I've been on the ops and logistics side for so long, is everybody grabs attribution, and you can go make a number dance however you want to. And the question is, would somebody else have gotten that number or not? And so the framing that we use, and again, I think this is like abstract away for every single company that you guys are inspecting, is not like, did you make that impact? But it's like, would that impact have happened whether you, like, if you did not exist, right? So it's not, is Alex likely to buy Hulken? But is Alex likely to buy Hulken because a text was sent, an email was sent, she went through this personalized journey on her site. Again, you look through it. The hard part, to your point about attribution, is when we started, we would do it. I mean, we still do all the statistical testing, but that's what we would present to brands. And a CRM manager at a generic brand is not going to understand statistical. It's like the exact right way to do it. And it's what you would do at Meta or like any other company. But you're like, did my email number go up? This is the only thing I care about. And you're like, I can make that number go up, but your business will go down. And I think that is like the tension that happens, like
it
from
is
the brand
tension.
side.
Yeah.
And it's who we advise a lot of startups. Obviously we get outreach by a lot of, early stage startups trying to find product market fit. And a lot of times it will come with these very elaborate kind of data points. And it's kind of like, okay, you're going to deal with, like you said, a CRM manager or someone in marketing that's going to have exactly a minute, not even like 10 seconds to look at this and digest it. And there's a lot of very smart tools out there, but it's true that the delivery isn't necessarily straightforward.
And I mean,
is there a tool, Aaron? Maybe because also a lot of these apps we use, you have to go into the unique dashboards to even see it. Like there should be a Shopify tool that aggregates all the different tools you're using and then almost like assigns like
look, you can go look at Triple Whale or North Beam, or there are a bunch of different attribution tools.
Those are too cheap for Triple Whale.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'll reach out to us all the time. I'm like, honey, we are
cheap.
A family
we
business.
Are cheap.
We are cheap. We are too cheap. Would rather be blind at our numbers than pay
I'll message the founders.
Okay,
the thing that will be very hard, even if you look at those, is it will tell you an ex post facto what happened, but it doesn't give you the guide on what to do or how to do it. So if you go use some attribution tool, it might say spend more money on Meta, but it doesn't say within like what segment to spend more on. It's like Meta is working better, or hey, you should do she's excited about getting an email, but it's like, how many emails, at what frequency. And so it's almost like
even all the tools. You see what I'm saying, Aaron? Like, I don't want
100%.
Meta. I want to know like Echo versus Rebuy versus Orita versus X, Y, and Z.
We can show you. We can show you with very good depth where we fit, and I can like probably help you figure out the rest.
There. This has been the greatest podcast of my life because this
is
could
good.
be this.
There are two more questions I actually want to bring to you guys. One is about like what you're looking forward to on the D2C side, like e-commerce, AI, like how you are thinking about building for the next year or two. Before I get there, I actually want to have a more tactical one. I've seen you guys post multiple times about Pretty Damn Quick. Can you give us all like a minute about what they do for you and why it's such an effective tool? I don't know anybody there, so not I'm not like trying to set this up, but like I'm very curious.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, what I love about Pretty Damn Quick is they allow us to very clearly test out different flows, different features on our checkout page. They do a great job A/B testing, right? So they're not like making it hard for me to understand if we continue with that feature on our checkout page or not. They come up with the different tests we could run. So they'll give, every 2 months, they'll come up with like 6 different tests we could run. Let's say how we display shipping and X, Y, and Z for different cohorts. And then we can say, hey, let's run this. And then after that test, they'll decide like if we launch it or not. And so they just make our lives really simple in ensuring that we're always optimizing that checkout page. And they're not shady with how they show us the numbers. But, that's another great one. I love Rebuy, right? But in a sense, Rebuy and Pretty Damn Quick are doing very similar things. So this is where it's kind of like, okay, like Rebuy theoretically is doing what Pretty Damn Quick is kind of doing. Pretty Damn Quick, there's much more hand-holding. And currently, Pretty Damn Quick does not go to really the rest of the platform. Whereas Rebuy, we use it largely on our product page. And Pretty Damn Quick we're using on our checkout page.
One thing that I think is like really impactful though is kind of they're not biased to what the right answer is. They just want to get the right answer, and you guys can see it in the data.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference. Whereas we've used it, I won't name the tool, but like we used another tool. Whereas like when they're A/B testing, it turned out they were like literally A/B testing, like not.
It was
a really
95 split. Like it wasn't a real A/B test. It was clearly skewing that A/B test, which obviously made us lose faith in the process entirely.
Yeah. So I think you have to be really honest. I think the better that people can show how their data works in a way that doesn't require a PhD from Stanford, the easier it is. You need to do the non-Ivy, just the liberal arts education folks. Build the takeaway for that. And I think that you have a winning
for
result.
the non-Ivies like us.
Yeah, non-Ivy.
You guys started a company literally called Ivy, so I just want to point this out. Ironically, all right.
FOMO. You see, I have imposter syndrome. I wanted to go to Ivy League school badly.
Just go get your PhD. You'll be fine.
There you go.
Well, so then I think the last thread that I just want to pull on, even if it's just for a minute, is like, how are you guys thinking about building Hulken for this next phase, right? The last couple of years, it's like, hey, we're building a brand. We've got to get the operations right. But now we're doing, but what happens with like AI shopping? Like, how are you thinking about this, if at all right now? Or it's actually like, look, it'll happen and we're just going to keep building a great product.
Well, it's funny. I recently just told Alex, I was like, listen, in 2 years, you're not going to have a website. Like websites don't make sense. And I know we have dynamic landing pages, but I really don't think we're going to have landing pages. I think how you're going to be, like, I think what we'll be doing is building out like the Shopify backend with all the details so that then your like AI shopping assistant, whichever one you're using, will then feed and recommend Hulken. We're obviously not there yet, but when I think about like the future of e-com, I don't see it as a website or even a dynamic landing page. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of these things. It's on our mind. It's obviously what everyone talks about, and every tool that we work with optimizes with AI. And I think it's there. We obviously do a lot of SEO to capitalize on it, and we do a really good job at that. So we're at the forefront of that. But we also kind of know that, we'll move quickly when we need to move quickly on these things. We're not doing anything proactive outside of the, standardized kind of search optimization work. But yeah, it's exciting to see where that goes. I think also in the ad space and the marketing space specifically, we'll have to adjust based on how it evolves.
Thank you. All right. My last question for you guys, and maybe I'll give you the choice if you want to target this towards brand owners and operators or the tech ecosystem. Any last takeaway piece of advice you give to founders in either one of those sides? Lee, I'm going to start with you first. because you got to open, and then Alex will end with you.
I mean, I think move fast. It doesn't even matter what you're doing. I think at the end of the day, if you're building something and you're not already like a massive enterprise company, I think your biggest advantage, and we learned this at NFX, right, Aaron, like is speed. And I think overthinking and being meticulous and like having everything perfect, like, no, like don't, like, it's not going to be perfect. Like you have to just you just have to get stuff out there. Right. And also I'd say my other advice is like, don't lie to yourself. Like if it's not working, it's not working. And so often I meet founders who are like lying to themselves, and they have to because they're going through that fundraising round where you're essentially just like delaying the inevitable of your business shutting down. And you could actually be in an inflatable turkey costume hustling Hulkins on
Selling
the
rolling tote bags.
Exactly.
Are you
don't know what's
hiring
around the corner.
now that you've graduated beyond hustling? Are you hiring a turkey person?
No, I really
No,
hope
but you
not.
know
I
what?
hope
We'll never leave the
not.
turkey suit. I think that's
No,
what
I
makes
love
us
it.
so unusual. And that would be
Yeah.
my advice to founders is like, don't take yourself that seriously. When Lee and I are outside of Whole Foods in Brooklyn giving out bags, people assume we're interns. We're not.
Yes.
We're literally the C-suite of the company. And we'll
they
never
only
stop
realize
doing
that 'cause
that.
we're wearing like a turkey face. They don't actually see how old we actually are. But they're often like, because we're like literally an inflatable. So they think we're like hired like 18-year-olds. And we're like, no, we're like old ladies, old ladies selling, like doing this for fun.
I think we can end this podcast with we're all about the same age and started the same number of companies, and I look 40 years older than you. And great, this has been really fun for me. Thank you both. All right, Alex, last word to you. Where can folks find Hulken? Where do you want them to learn more about you guys?
Yeah. Find out about Hulken online. Go to our website, hulken.com. Look us up on Instagram. It will give you endless inspiration on how to use Hulken, who to gift Hulken to. I mean, there's basically our goal is for every household in America to have a Hulken. There's no reason why not. There's a million ways that you can use it, gift it. Look us up online. You'll love it. You won't regret it.
Thank you. I think you need to be more ambitious and go with 2 Hulkens per household. I remember when I was slinging watches and people were like, how big's your market? And I was like, well, there are 300 million Americans, which meant 600 million wrists. So that was it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, thank you both. This was really fun. I learned a lot, which is great, given that I've known you for so long and I still took a couple pages of notes. So thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank
Love
you.
being here.
Thank you, Aaron.
Hi, I'm Aaron Schwartz, co-founder and co-CEO of Orita.ai. We build AI customer segmentation for some of Klaviyo's biggest brands like Oriana, Spanx, Caraway, Third Love, True Classic, Rem Beauty, and on and on. Brands come to us to help find untapped revenue, improve their click rate, drive away mean bots, and a bunch more. You can learn more or get a free customer engagement audit at Orita.ai.